When the chips are down and you're desperate for money, what kind of mistake are you making that you don't recognize as yet? Is it possible that Kanan will be responsible for the death of one of his uncles? And I think that the evidence proves that it might be. What's up, everybody? Just Be here, and I'm breaking down the latest episode of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Season 3, Episode 2, titled Flipmode. We're diving into the juiciest parts of this episode right now. Let's go. I don't know about you guys, but I thoroughly enjoyed this particular episode. I mean, the beginning of it, where the scene where we see Rock and Unique chilling at home, vibing in their afterglow and all that stuff. I mean, the music playing in the background was just a 90s black love vibe, and I just loved it, man. I was just like, all right, man, okay, get it, all right. This is one of those things that we have to really appreciate that we don't get on the other shows. It's the intricate details of, for instance, the music that plays in the background, the actual connection and chemistry between characters that we're putting together for romantic interests. Tommy and Mayera from Power Book 4 Force are cool, but they don't pop on screen immediately the way how Rock and Unique does. I mean, come on, guys. Put it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think, or I'm just talking gibberish. But I mean, them starting off with that was a strong way to go into the episode. And we know that now this episode takes place 2 weeks after episode 1. In the midst of them chilling and vibing, the Italian mob bursts through the doors of Rock's house and kidnaps both her and Unique, takes them back to a warehouse where they're confronted by Stefano Marchetti, who now wants Rock to take out Sal Baselli. He feels as if Sal is basically been a problem for years now, and so now he just, listen, I can't take him out myself. There's rules to the business here for organized crime, particularly on the Italian side of things, and I don't want anything to blow back on me. So you guys are having a vibe, you guys are having a beef, I'm gonna let you guys just take care of that. And once you do that, your problems are done, my problems are done, because Sal was always, sloppy and always an issue anyway. So Raquel unfortunately agrees, even though she says that she's out of the game, and she now sets it up so that Marv can be the one to take out the hit on Sal Baselli, which he is ultimately successful in, as Sal was in hiding from Rock's crew because he knows he put the hit out on her. So he was in hiding, and only certain people within the Italian organization knew where certain key people were. And at that moment, Stefano knew where Sal was. And so he feeds that information to Raquel, and Raquel goes and gives that to her brother Marv, and Marv goes and he steals a United States Postal Service van, from what I can see, and he goes ahead and doubles as a postman, walks up to the christening of what was supposed to be Sal's grandson. As you remember in the previous season, Sal's son was taken out on a failed hit job on Tony and her boyfriend / fiance at the time, with Sal's men and his son. Sal and his wife now have to look after his son's wife and grandson, and so this is the christening, and so they decide that this was the moment to go ahead and do it. So Marv dances his way around with help from Demo from the previous episode, the guy in the wheelchair from the apartment where they used to store their product, and he goes ahead and he takes him out right there in front of the entire family, and he gets away with it. I mean, Marv's a soldier, man. And so we see now Sal is now off the table as a potential antagonist for the rest of the season. And I want to mention this now because with Sal Baselli out of the way, because of Rock and Stefano, we now need a new antagonist for the show. So that means now we're probably going to see it set up within the next maybe 2 episodes, who's going to be the new main villain and all that kind of stuff, unless we have a situation whereas the Italians continue to retaliate because they feel as if it's Rock's organization who is responsible for Sal's death. That would continue to be our antagonist for the rest of the season. But as far as we know right now, that's essentially been deaded, and we now need someone to step up and continue to be the villain on the show for our main characters. Let me know what you guys think who that might be. Do you think they're going to set it up real quickly to make that maybe Ronnie to be this threat? Maybe he's going to be doing something, because throughout this episode, Ronnie was kind of all over the place and just, angry and just tense and built up. And he was about to take out the bouncer from the club who didn't want to let him in because he wasn't dressed appropriately. And so he was just laser focused on that guy. Maybe he's going to be a threat, but in order to be a threat, you got to actually be threatening in terms of have some sort of power to leverage or to take away in the streets. And so I don't know. Who do you guys think it's going to be? Let me know inside the comments. Hold on real quickly. You guys want to see something crazy? Over 99% of you guys that watch my content are not subscribed. So I'm asking real quickly, if you don't mind, just hit the like button and hit subscribe real quickly. I'd love to keep on giving this content to you guys and lets me know that people actually are interested. Feel free to do that, man. Really appreciate it a lot. Would help me out a long way in growing my small channel. Thanks. Now back to the video. Now we see Detective Burke's funeral is happening and we have all of the NYPD officers there to pay respects to her, and they give Detective Howard the platform of doing that as her partner. And he, walks up there and he gives this amazing speech about how brilliant she was and how hardworking she was and how she used to bust his balls. And I was just like, man, this guy is really full of it. Like, for you to know that you just took her out and now setting it up to make it look like it was her deleting herself. Where's the line drawn, bro? So he's giving this great speech and everyone's there crying and all that stuff. And guys, he is just cocky. And that's how I know. I want to be careful with this prediction like I gave in the last video as well. That's how I have a strong feeling that he may be on his way out this season, just because we now have a vacuum where we need somebody to fill that role of, well, who's going to be the villain? Who's going to be the body, right, that the streets need for the season. And because he's now making this shift and this pivot into this now darker, more sinister, just cocky kind of character with this carefree attitude, like I can't be caught, nobody can stop me. Yeah, that's a dangerous place to be in as a character. So let's keep an eye on Detective Howard. It looks like Detective Burke's partner, who she was dating, is actually also a detective. And she approached Detective Burke's father after the funeral just to see, hey, listen, we need to look into this, man. I don't think this is all the way sorted out the way how we think it went down. And so he cuts her off. Well, he doesn't want to have anything to deal with her because he feels that her relationship with his daughter was the reason why she did what she did in the first place. And so he leaves it alone, and then she becomes suspicious of Detective Howard, who was just kind of staring at her, lingering in some sort of way. So like I told you guys, he's making some mistakes somewhere, and he's a little bit sloppy. So the lingering looks, the things that he did inside the car that he probably didn't pay attention to, like I mentioned in the last episode, like just watch these things. He's being set up to make a big sloppy mistake somewhere along the way. I also thought that this was funny where someone posted this meme on Twitter from the movie Juice that Omar Epps and Tupac was in, where he said, remember when you were judging Bishop for coming to the repast? Now look at you. So I thought that was pretty hilarious, man. Also, the FBI is also setting up an organized crime task force in the South Queens precinct, and Detective Ogden, who has worked with Detective Howard on little crossover stuff, I guess, in the past, is being brought in to kind of oversee that. And so you see them being stationed actually in the precinct and looking over some evidence and whatnot. And it's all connected to the whole Italian mob hit, right? So when something goes down with those guys, you see all the big head honchos and head cheeses getting involved. And so he's going to be more than likely working with Detective Howard. And I think that what's going to happen is Detective Adina and Detective Ogden are probably going to share notes at some point on what they believe is actually going on and the connection between maybe Detective Howard and some of the things that's been going on in South Queens, and see how it all ties back to the Italian mob and the organized crime that's been happening. So I think he'll probably be one of those connecting points for that storyline as well, and taking down Detective Howard. So Kanan right now, he's building his crew with Famous, and he now sees and finds out that there's a guy who lives in his building where Palomar and her mother used to live. So apparently those characters are now gone. They moved out of the building, so they're no longer on the show. And this guy has moved in here, and he's a courier. He manages a courier service, and he has runners on scooters who goes throughout the city to move things around for different businesses and people and so on and so forth. So he was offering Kanan some work, but Kanan saw this as an opportunity now to move product a little bit more efficiently. So my thing is now, well, Kanan actually needs a supply. Where is he getting the supply from? I didn't pick that up in the last episode. The guy actually who we went to rejected him. And so at this stage, Kanan needs a supplier to even give this guy's scooter runners product to go ahead and move. That's a whole storyline within itself that I think is being set up. And I think there's a couple of different people who could potentially be Kanan's supplier. It could be Unique, who, as we saw previously, is actually, after being kidnapped by Stefano Marchetti and his crew, Unique goes back to Stefano's fish shop and says, look, let's do business together. And they bond over their mutual respect for one another and keeping it just on the business level, even after him kidnapping him. And Stefano tells him that, look, if you want us to supply you, you got to get approval from the other bosses in the Italian mob. And so Unique agrees. And I think if he's successful with that, he's also going to need runners. And I think that's where Unique and Kanan can connect and come together, and Unique can supply Kanan. Or we also saw in this episode where Marv asked Rock that, hey, listen, we still got some supply left over from what I managed to scrape up from after our stashes got hit. He's going to need people to run that for him if he wants to flip that and make some money. So I'm curious to see who is going to become Kanan's supplier, or do you guys feel as if Kanan's supplier is somebody else? Let me know what you think inside the comments. I also think that Unique doing business or deciding to go into business with the Italian mob is going to cost him his relationship with Rock at some point, because she's going to feel some kind of way that, listen, Rock she does business well. Now, I mean, she knows how to know that business is business, but I think them coming to her home when she was somewhat intimate, doing that to her, she told them off at the beginning of the episode that that's not how business is done. You guys know this is a code. You don't come to each other's houses and do these things like that. And so I think she's gonna disagree with Unique. Once she finds out that he's working with and being supplied by the Italian mob, that's probably gonna cause a rift between them and their relationship, which will be unfortunate because they got chemistry, bro. Like they vibing. I like it. Now, guys, this is a very, very early prediction that I'm giving. Please take it easy on me. I have to treat Raising Kanan a little bit differently than Ghost and Force, just because the pacing and the storytelling quality is much more higher, and so things aren't as clear as they always may be, right? But I'm usually pretty on about these things. I do think that we are going to lose one of the Thomas brothers, so one of Kanan's uncles, this season. Now, the reason I say that is because in the season 1 finale and the season 2 finale, we've seen where both of them have gotten pretty close, and they would have used those to some extent as a cliffhanger to see what's going to happen by both of them. The first season with Lulu getting shot and being in the house fire, and then the second season with Marv getting shot and not knowing what happens with him. So I think they're going to pay it off this season, and it has to be an emotional payoff where we might lose one of the uncles. So this person who commented on my last breakdown video, the dopest says, also the fact that Marvin's becoming so lovable and Juke is starting to really like him scares me, dog. When they make us love a character, they usually end up dying. Same way I feel about Uncle Lou and even Braden and Ghost. Yeah, I think that obviously the sentiment among some fans is that, yeah, one of the unks is on the chopping block. We don't know yet. Obviously, it's too early in the season to tell who it is, but my pick is Marv. My first pick is Marv, just because his entire character arc emotionally, I feel, has kind of been rounded. And I believe that it's possible that, if there's nothing else left for him to do except be a soldier or a hitter, he's more expendable. And Lulu, he's beefing with Rock at the moment, but that doesn't mean that they can't use that beef to bring them together later as a family again and make them strong over the death of someone like Marv. So that's the only prediction. I could be very wrong about it, but I'm just looking at some of the signs that they have. Overall, amazing episode. Chef's kiss. I love it. Shout out to the team, the writers, the directors, the editors, everyone who put this together, those who put the music, all that stuff. It was just amazing. The cast, crew, everybody. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode inside the comments, man. Do you feel like there's anything that I missed? Feel like there's anything I got wrong? Feel like there's anything I got right? Shoot it inside the comments, guys. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Until next time, peace.